Hello, my name is Richard Haynes, and I'll be covering the auditing portion of our Linux security hardening project for 344 operating systems class. Like the other said, we're using Ubuntu Server 22.04. I have a lightweight GUI pulled up just so I can use the cursor to show you certain things, and I'll be going into depth on Auditd. This will be used to monitor real security events, and we'll use it to test a couple of rules that we can set that you can deploy on different Linux servers or different Linux machines to be able to effectively monitor your kernel and make sure that nothing bad is happening to it. And so when I say auditing, what does that mean? Well, auditing in security is about recording and reviewing important events on a system. This is things like user actions, configuration changes, and very security sensitive operations like using sudo or privilege escalation. And it gives us sort of the ability to answer questions like who did this action, what changed, when did it happen, and what program or command was used. This is essential for security hardening on your Linux. If someone has gained unauthorized access to your machine, they often are going to try to mess up your day or evade detection. And so by installing these monitors and by setting alerts, you can make sure that nothing wrong is going on and that you can keep your Linux secure and be able to check it daily as a cybersecurity engineer in order to make sure that everything is good. So great. So we'll be using Auditd, but there are a couple of other tools I'd like to mention. There's PSACCT. These can record each command a user runs, and like basic resource usage. It's good for simple user activity tracking, pretty lightweight, so not a bad action there at all. There's also Systat, which is for performance and activity statistics over time. So like CPU usage and system load, and so that covers a different aspect. You can use that with Auditd, of course. Great option. Then there's AID, which is like a file integrity checker. It detects if important files have changed unexpectedly. So all these tools can be used with that. And then SE Linux, of course, when that's enabled, SE Linux can generate audit logs anytime an action violates a certain policy that can be set. So those are pretty high level, but today we'll just be using Auditd. So we are going to go ahead and install that. So just a simple install, and then we will also install the plugins. This allows us for a later thing, which is sending these logs and creating alerts and generating reports. We'll go into that later. That's why we install the plugins. So there you go. It's installed, and now let's enable the system service. We'll go Auditd. There you go. And now we will check the status of it just to make sure that it is running. And boom, it is running. That is all you need to do to install it. And so now we are going to create some rules to test. And you can make any rule that you want, but I kind of gathered a little bit of a list that we can see and test right now. We are going to test for SSH configuration changes. We are going to test for user account creation. Monitor package installations, and then we are also going to monitor sudo usage. These are some pretty good things that we can check, pretty lightweight things, easy to see and understand exactly how it's working. So the framework is sudo auditctl, and we're going to go -w, which is going to watch whatever file that we want it to watch. So if we have a certain file that is very sensitive, you might want to set a watch on that file. And so the -pwa means that we are going to log write in attribute changes, and then this -key is setting a key for this specific watch and audit rule. So SSH config change. Perfect. Now let's make one in the same vein for user account creation. Same sort of deal here. We're going to monitor sbin user add, and then X is for executables, K user changes. Easy. Following along with me so far, we'll go sudo auditctl, I can't spell, and then we are going to, you guessed it, watch bin apt. And then same sort of deal. System changes. Boom. And then the very last thing is going to be sudo usage. let's do audit ctl watch user bin sudo. Okay, and this should effectively mean that these are all of our rules, all 4 rules that we will be doing. There's another way that I'll show real quick to make these changes persistent. And so what you're going to want to do is make a directory at audit and call it rules.d and make that directory, and then you're going to make a file within that directory, and we're going to call that, let's see, let's just get there, rules.d. We're going to call it hardening.rules. Right, so it's going to take us in there, and then basically we're going to add everything that we just did. I won't do all the rules again, but I'll just show you once again the kind of framework that you want to put it in. Watch attributes key ssh config change. So you basically type in the same, just without the sudo in front or without the auditctl, because you're basically setting these as persistent rules, which is what you will want to do, because when you reboot, these rules will not stay the same, and so you're going to want to add basically all of these into hardening rules just to make sure that they persist. However, for the sake of the demo, we will continue forth, and so now let's test and let's make sure that these rules are working. And so we are going to edit the config file. Let's go in here. That's from a previous test. This is a new comment. Save that. And now how we can manually search the logs is through au search -k ssh config change. Okay. Now, looking at this, it's kind of hard to see what's going on. It's got a lot of numbers, it's a lot of keys, you can't really tell exactly what exactly was done. It's kind of confusing. It just says nano, but we kind of want the full command. So what we're going to do is add a -I, and that will tell us more specifically, boom, this is us, and it even was recording when I was creating the audit.rules and putting that in. And that's the rule, and then nano. Boom. So I just ran nano, and it has the timestamp, it has the command, it was run as root, which if you aren't expecting something to be run as root, means someone may have access to it, and then the current working directory that it was run from. These are all good things to know when you are monitoring. And so let's test some other things real quick as well. User creation, sudo user add, test user. Okay, oh, that's from another test. Let's do 2. Sudo search k user changes. You've guessed it. Bada boom. Test user 2. And it even has it from the last time that I've done this, which is good. Very persistent. Okay, and so let's do package installation. Sudo apt install sl, which is just sort of like a fun little thing you can do on your machine. If you run SL, it'll have a train across the screen. That's basically what it does. Let's now search for system updates and see if it properly got it. Oh, there you go. Okay, and now let's look at sudo usage, sudo audit, search. Okay, sudo usage. I'm sure it'll already get some events that I've already done. There you go. Sudo search, sudo apt install. It's kind of gotten everything I've done so far with sudo. Perfect. There you go. So those are the rules, and then if you added all of those rules to persistent, all you got to do is go sudo again rules load. There you go. Since we only added one, there's really only one. And then you restart audit. You restart Auditd, and then bada boom, those rules will show up. Okay, so that's all and great for just some simple monitoring of some rules. But let's say we don't want to manually run that every single time, and we just want to be alerted when changes like that are made. There is a ton of options for this, a ton of different softwares that work perfectly with Auditd. A couple of examples. There's one called Wuzza. That is more you install the agent onto the Linux machine, and then you can go into a separate web browser and set up alerts that way. That might be a good way to do it. There's also OSEC, which is an older version of Wuzza. It's less modern, but it's just as good. And then there's a couple of other things you can do. However, just for the sake of this demo, we are going to create a script, a very quick script that will basically just send us an email when a change has happened. And so you can do ssh alert.sh. Okay, and so I will show the script real quick. It's going to be, you're going to set the key, right? Just like as we've been doing for all these other commands. SSH config change. Okay, and then we are going to set where it's going to pull that alert from. These are where all the other things are. Let's go /var/log/audit ssh alerts.log. Cool. Great. And quickly, we are going to find events within like the last 5 minutes, and you can see this is where our search command comes in, and then we're going to set a key and then recent. Okay, hope you're following so far. And obviously you can search for other more software options, but keeping it in the same terminal, this is not a terrible thing to do. And so then you're going to set up if events grep, there we go, grep q, let's go type equals, then we're going to log an alert message. Go get the date, and then we'll write ssh config change detected, something like that. TA. Okay, and now set it to alert. That'll show where it is. Okay, perfect. Make sure that's finished there, and there we go. Not too bad. If you set that up, that'll send an alert to your terminal, and then if you really wanted to set it up to your email, you can do the same thing, just with like echo events, and then I won't show it here, but you can do like mail s, and then you can set what the alert will be, and then you can set your email right here, and it will send the email. Okay, perfect. Let's not save that. And great. So then you'll make that executable. Let's sort of do that now, just so we can show it in the local terminal. And audit ssh alert.sh. And now let's trigger another. Let's trigger another problem. Let's do, this is a new comment again. Okay, I'll save that. And now let's sort of just run the script. Okay, it takes a while to about. Yeah, there was a change detected. You can set this on a cron tab. You can have it run at startup, and you can basically check every time that you get on, log onto the machine, if there's been any changes that have been detected. Super lightweight. Or you can have it sent to your email and have the alert sort of running every 5 minutes or so, just to test and see if anything has changed. And you can do that for any of the rules. Okay, so perfect. Thanks for watching. This has been a pretty quick tutorial. Hopefully there are very minimal questions, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.